Hey, you all, welcome to another episode of the series Girl, Did You Watch? My name is Alicia, and I'm the host of Black Girls Den Podcast, a safe space for women to be real, raw, and relatable. And today I'm interviewing the cast member from one of our favorite shows, Somebody's Son on OWN. Her name is Miranda, and I'm so excited. She was on the first season, which season one, and she was in Chat House. So we're gonna give her a great welcome when she comes on screen. All right. So yes. Hi, Miranda.
Hi. I'm so excited to be here.
You know what? How are you? How do you feel?
I feel good. I am doing well. Super excited to be here talking to you today. Hashing out all the tea. So
Okay.
yeah, just ready. I
Yes.
came locked and loaded.
Okay, yes, because we got to get into the tea of this season. You know what I'm saying? So I want to say thank you so much for coming on and sharing your experience. I really do appreciate it. And like I told you before, like I really want this to be a safe space, for us Black women to kind of share about, what we go on, well, what you all go on, because I'm not on the reality TV, but what you all go on with
Yeah.
in the back of the head. And sometimes we don't get like a good portrayal. So I want to be able to give the space to kind of talk, share your truth about your experience and different things like that. So I definitely do appreciate that. For that. So some people, hopefully, they all tuned into the show. But I want to know, can you tell us just like a little bit about yourself, just in general?
In general, okay. So in general, I would have to describe myself, and I think my friends and family would too. I am a very bubbly and goofy person. I think everyone watching the show could kind of see that
Mm-hmm.
I came in with a different energy. Obviously, I mentioned that I was in HR, so I feel like a lot of viewers instantly thought, "Oh God, here comes
Yeah.
like the cranky, you do this, you do that, the bossy
Mm-hmm.
person." And I gave a completely different spin. I don't think people were expecting that. Do I have that side to me? Of course, when I have to lay down the law, I put that HR hat on. But overall, super bubbly. I'm an only child.
Okay.
Um, Far from spoiled, I'll say that, but from St. Louis, Missouri, and currently residing in Houston, obviously. And I don't know, I'll say this. I'm the type of person that I like to take a leap of faith. So doing this show was definitely a little out of my comfort zone.
Definitely. Okay, you said you're from St. Louis. That's the 314. Okay. Lay it down, period. Okay, yes. So we're just gonna get right into it. And that's kind of what I wanted to know. Like, how was the show presented to you and like what made you go on it?
Yeah, so a lot of people, that's their first question. Did you apply to the show? No, I did not. Um, Someone from the casting team reached out to me via social media. And she was like, "Hey, Miranda, I viewed your Instagram page. You seem like a great candidate for this show that we're doing. We're the producers of Love Island. So that's also something
Mhm.
that a lot of people do not know about Somebody's Son, is that the producers of Love Island also produced my show as well. And I know Love Island is a big show, especially right now.
Very. Okay.
Everybody's talking about Love Island. So
Literally.
I obviously at that point I was like, okay, wait, I didn't know what Love Island was. So I took
Mhm.
time out to watch one of the seasons, and I'm instantly thinking, is this how this show is gonna be? Because I don't think I want to be on.
Oh, it was a lot going on.
Yes, but she did kind of reiterate that being that it was going to be on the OWN network, it was going to be a different spin, more of like a more grown and mature crowd, family
Mhm.
oriented. So they were really trying to be intentional about the daters, and our age range and all of that. So that kind of gave me a little bit more relaxed feeling.
Okay, so did you know that like this was the first season of the show, or did like you didn't know any of that?
Yeah, at the time I did not know, but then I started asking more questions and they were like, "Yeah, this is our first season, something completely new and different." So I was like, "Great." First thought that came to my mind was, "Lord, I'm about to be a test dummy," because
Oh, okay.
first season I kind of knew it was going to be a little bit of lumps and bumps, just because it
Mhm.
was the first season. But I'm like, well, they produced this magical show, Love Island. This seems pretty structured. So I had very high hopes for the show.
Oh, you did. You have high hopes. That's
I
good to
did.
know that because
Yeah.
first seasons, interesting. And then seeing Love Island, they have like 6 seasons, so
Hmm.
that is so crazy. Do you think you would have did Love Island now?
At
Seeing what
my
it
age, baby, no, 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 ma'am, no.
I wanted to know, kind of like now that you know that it's the first season, you know already a little bit about like what they did with like Love Island. Like, how
Mhm.
did you like mentally prepare to like do the show?
I took it day by day,
Mhm.
honestly, and I feel like the closer that we were getting to the show, I started getting more and more nervous. At first, like I said, it was a little rocky. I was like, okay, responses are a little delayed. So I really wasn't sure. I was like, it really hadn't set in at that point that this is real.
Oh,
And like for me, and I feel like that's just in general, it does not set in until I'm actively like in whatever I'm doing, and I'm like, this is happening. Like, and that was my moment. Yeah, walking into the house, it was like, this is happening.
oh, okay, okay. Yes, that is so crazy. So when you had to like prepare for, how we talk about how you were saying like own is more like family friendly, different things like that. When you prepared for it, and when like were you thinking about like, oh my gosh, how am I gonna be portrayed on TV? Or like how much of that did it take in your mind to be like, let me prepare for this? Like I have a real life outside of the show and different things
Mhm.
like that.
Yeah, that's actually something that I kept stressing, like during my interviews and just interacting with the producers. Is that look, because watching Love Island, you see a lot of younger castmates,
Mm-hmm.
they're influencers, things of that nature, and I was like, look, I'm in a corporate 9 to 5, like I have to uphold a certain image for myself. And they were like, oh
Mm-hmm.
no, like the majority of the cast is like that as well. Like, this is not about to be that type of show where it's like Bad Girls Club, y'all tussling
Mm-hmm.
and bustling. Like, we ain't doing that. And that kind of made me a little bit more comfortable because I was like, I do have an image to uphold. And I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that that was portrayed on the show. And honestly, it was just my obligation to myself to be my 100% self. So that bubbly, fun person, I did not want to lead with like that HR side of me.
Okay, okay, I see what you're saying. And do
Yeah.
you feel like you felt like that, like the whole image, and like, was it because you're like a black woman? Did you feel like it because of the corporateness, or
Mhm.
because how like we see they produce Love Island and it's totally different? Like, how do you what made you feel like you had to like kind of portray that way?
Yeah, so I think one, just knowing who
Hmm.
that network is owned by, Oprah, so I kind of went into it like, okay, I do have to remain very tasteful and respectful and professional in a sense, and that was really like my approach to it. But it was also like I didn't want to come off as that boring dull person because
Hmm.
that's not me. So I was like, Miranda, stay true to yourself. However, I think I portrayed a good version of myself. It wasn't acting. I was 100% myself, and I think I got a lot of that feedback from the viewers.
Hmm.
But obviously, you can't please everybody. You can't
You
please
can't. You can't. It's okay. Okay, so let's get into the show. So you walked into the house. Like, what was your first impression of like the women and Chad? Like, how was it?
Yeah, so the first person I was introduced to was Paige, beautiful, gorgeous girl,
Mhm.
much younger than me. I think at the time Paige was 28, I was 30. So she was in her 20s still. So I was like, okay, but she was on her stuff. We
Mhm.
sat down, started talking about our careers and all of that. And I was like, yes, I'm loving it. This girl is on her stuff. And I like to be around women like that, in a
Mhm.
room full of women that are actually shaking some tables. I'll put it like that. So meeting the other girls, I think the next girl to enter the house was, I believe, Lauren, and then Jasmine was last. Everyone had their own different career paths they were taking, and we all greeted each other with so much love and respect. And I love that because I feel like as Black women, we're so
Mhm.
portrayed as being catty and always being in competition with one another. And my house really shifted that narrative. Like, I really felt like it was the sisters club, like we
Yeah.
became very intertwined with one another in the sense of becoming very close and building those personal relationships with one another. And even though I didn't get to spend that much time with them, even just that short amount of time, I did build very good relationships with the girls.
Was it like kind of nerve wracking, like kind of going in there, like were you nervous? Were you
Mhm.
like scared? Like what was the emotion?
Yeah, so honestly, I didn't know what I was walking into. Honestly, transparent moment. I thought that I was going to walk into the house. I didn't know I was going to be greeted at the door by Chad. So I thought
Mm.
it was more so going to be like me walking into the house. Everybody was already going to be mixing and mingling with one
Mhm.
another. And it did not happen that way. He met me at the door and I was like, hi. It felt a little awkward in a sense, but we had our brief little discussion and then it was instantly meeting the rest of the girls.
Okay, yeah, because it's just like, oh, hi, and then it's like, boom. You're like,
It,
okay.
it was fast, quick.
I thought I was just meeting him, but did you know it was a competition?
I knew it was a competition. However, I think the real question is, did I view it as a competition? I did
Mm.
not. And I'm not saying it in a cocky way that I felt like I was going to win. That's not what I mean by that. I think because we were so open with one another and vibing so well, me and the other girls, we didn't view each other as competition. It was just like we're all here to get to know this man, and we have to be in the house with each other for a certain amount of time. Let's just get a feel for one another. We all were on one accord when it came to us not wanting to be catty. And
Oh.
that was my biggest fear. What am I walking into? Are these girls going to be catty, snappy attitudes? I think I'm better than you. I don't do well in those type of environments. As not at all. I'm from St. Louis. I'm put it like
Mhm.
that. I don't take too kind to stuff like that, but I also didn't want to show that side of me. So I was like, please, Lord, let everybody get along.
Yes, well, at least everybody was nice, it seems like.
Very.
Um, how was it when you found out that there was another woman gonna be there and it was his mom?
That we did not know. A lot of people are like, oh, this is scripted, like they knew she was going to had no clue.
Mm-mm.
So when he was like, ladies, I have somebody that I want to introduce you to, and she came out, I was looking like, well, I thought she was another woman that was going to be joining us as like a dater. And I was like, gorgeous woman, but she looked a little old to be on here. That kind of threw me off. And then he was like, this is my mom. And I was like, oh, okay. And I feel like at first I was receptive to it because like I get along very well with like people's families and stuff like that. So I
Mhm.
was like, oh, she's gonna love me. We'll keep going further into if she
Okay.
loves me or not.
All right, leads to the next question because, child. So I just want to talk about it because the episode kind of goes so fast and different things like we talked about in general. It's a
Mhm.
lot kind of like following the show and the episode and what
Yeah.
goes on and stuff. So just take me to like I guess the first I would say the first interaction or like the first kind of challenge because it was
Mhm.
like asking questions and the mama trying to get to know you and then the son trying to get to know you like how was that and then leading up to as we know that she didn't choose you or like she
Mhm.
chose you left like let's talk about that a little bit like how did,
Mhm.
how did that feel to you.
Yeah, so I really didn't get that much one-on-one experience with her, with the mom, or even with Chad. Like, not a lot of one-on-one time with them. However, something that was not captured on camera is that me and Chad's mom did kind of have like a bonding moment, where I was saying that I was from St. Louis, and I believe she stated that her father or someone in her family was from St. Louis too. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, I'm connecting. We
Hmm.
good.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm locked in with mom. That's my girl. Okay. The
Yes.
girl said, no, ma'am, you gotta go.
Okay.
But but I really thought we had a moment because we were really bonding and connecting. And I believe this was either before we did the whole fishbowl question thing or after. I
Hmm.
can't really remember. Um, and even when I said the comment about how I worked at a law firm and how I saw how a lot of women were done during that time. I worked for a very high profile law firm,
Hmm.
where all of our top clients were like major people out in the field. And I saw how a lot of those women were just kind of left out, not knowing anything about finances. They would call and be like, I want a divorce from my husband. However, I have no money. Is he responsible for paying for it? And I'm like, lady, you're the one filing for divorce. No, ma'am. Well, like, why would he be paying for you to leave him?
Right?
So that was
Newsflash.
kind of like an aha moment for me, especially because I
Mhm.
was in my early 20s at that time. And it kind of placed me in a position where it was like, Miranda, you never want to be put in a position like that, getting married to someone you think y'all locked in, y'all been married 30 plus years, and then you find him cheating with someone.
Mhm.
I never wanted to be placed in that situation. I feel like any mother would tell her daughter that.
I
So the fact that his mom took it and ran with it and felt like, that rubbed her the wrong way. It's like, I'm not saying that I'm using your son for anything. I'm just telling you that, yes, your son has his own money and so will I,
Mhm.
and I don't see a problem with that. Now, the whole secret of bank account thing is probably what kind of had her like, well, if you will hide a bank account, what else will you hide? I'm pretty transparent about anything else, but it's just like when it comes to money, yeah.
Imma add another bank account, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Do we what did Chad do?
Oh, he was a financial analyst.
Financial analyst, yes.
Yeah.
And not to like take us kind of off the path, but kind of I'm bringing it in because you were talking about it, like how women, try to go file for divorce and then
Mhm.
they leave crazy. Don't know if you've been on social media that much, but literally yesterday, the whole Coldplay concert
Mm.
happened and
Yeah.
the video. And so
Yeah.
now Melody has to change her Facebook and everything. Mind you, what
Yeah.
I'm getting to is like if she doesn't have no money, saved up, right? She's
Exactly.
blindsided.
Exactly.
She's embarrassed. She wants to probably get a divorce, but if she
Yeah.
didn't have no money or if she doesn't have a prenup, now
Mhm.
what is she gonna do?
Exactly.
So like
Exactly.
I feel like that's modern day as women. Like we have to teach women to like keep your stash or know
Mhm.
something, like to do something. And I feel like
Mhm.
also it shouldn't be that it's necessarily hidden. Like a man
Mhm.
should know like like a
Yeah.
woman's gonna have her own money.
Yeah, exactly. Like I feel like I would be transparent in that sense. Like, yeah, I'm all for a joint account, but I'm also
Mhm.
all for you have your own separate, and so do I. Because at the end of the day, you want to believe that you'll be with that person forever. But I've seen some really nasty divorces where people were married, 20, 30, 40 plus years. And
Mhm.
you just never know. Over time, you may outgrow that person, or something you like today, you might not like tomorrow. And your spouse is like, that's not the person I married. And, things happen, is what I'm saying. And I just feel like men and women should both be prepared for any situation. I'm not just speaking from a woman aspect, but just in general. Protect yourselves, make sure you're good.
Yes, they said facts speak on it. That's what the comments were saying. And when I was watching that episode, I said,
Okay.
yes. Okay, I agree. I said, oh, that's my girl Miranda. I said, I love it. And the mom was like, I didn't like that. But Chad thought it was funny. So I was just like,
He
oh,
did. He did not see anything wrong with this. So I was like, the fact that mom was like, really? You didn't see
mhm.
anything wrong? He was like, no, I thought it was funny. I'm like, I did. Everybody did. Like from the clip, everyone was laughing. So I was like, oh, we good. But, I think that was another learning moment, just being transparent. Just because others are laughing with you,
Mm.
does not mean in a sense that they're also not laughing at you. And that was kind of like one of those moments for me after watching the show where it was like I thought everyone was like hee hee ha ha, and it was really like ha ha, you about to go home. So
Okay. Nah, how you about to go home? Because she was asking questions and answering, and that I did want to ask you that kind of too. Like, did you feel like you had to? No, I don't want to say perform, but were you like, okay, let me kind of make sure I answer these questions, so I could stay in good graces? Which I guess you didn't really answer that, but going back, would you have answered the question differently
no,
now that you know? Oh,
no, and whatnot. I would still answer it the same exact way. As I mentioned, I'm a very transparent person. So I just answered the question based on what came to my mind when I heard it. And it,
mm-hmm.
it instantly triggered me, like going back to when I was in the legal field and seeing everything I saw. And it was just like one of those moments where it was like, kind of like a trauma response where it was like,
Yeah,
I would have my own bank account. Like, I'm sorry, child. Look, even if I'm head over heels for your son and we claim
mm-hmm.
we trust each other all day, that's cool, fine, and dandy. But at the end of the day, you don't know the next card that someone's going to play.
You
You
don't.
don't. So,
and and mostly women always get messed over in relationships in general. And even to talk about not to talk about the show like that, but even look at it like somebody's son. Like I'm over here like where's somebody's daughter at? Like so that you already know like having the three men, having all the women
yeah.
in the house for that, like we already know kind of what it looks like. And men can change their mind any day. So you
Yeah.
do kind of have that. So actually, like, I'm glad because it's like we time and time again, women do get messed over, and I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm tired of women getting messed over. I told you that's why I even started this because we see so
Yeah.
many black women getting messed over, getting embarrassed and stuff like that, and I don't like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, same.
And
Same.
so it's just so sad. So I'm like, even speaking up for that because maybe somebody that watched that didn't think about that. And I think yours was different because you were able to add, like, oh, I worked in this field and I seen
Yeah.
this. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, people are going to see things from their perspective and what
Mhm.
they know. So
Yeah.
I was just like, yes, girl.
Yeah, and I'm gonna clock that again, hashtag somebody's daughter.
Yeah.
That is something that me and the other girls, the rest of the cast, have definitely been using is hashtag somebody's daughter. Because yes, this was hashtag somebody's son. At the end of the day, we all were impacted by this show,
Mhm.
the same way that they were. There's been comments, good comments and negative, and I feel like we all knew that prior to coming on the show. But when it actually happens, it affects you.
Mhm.
So we really have been there trying to uplift each other. Everybody has their own different perspectives of the show. And even though I went home day one, I still have my view of what happened to me
Mhm.
and how I feel. And I think we had a very transparent moment, me and some of the other girls a few weeks ago, where we talked about that. And we all kind of laid out like each one of our experiences. And it was very eye opening because they did not know that I was going through what I was going through when it came to the show and my feelings and how I felt about
Mhm.
going home. They just kind of looked at it like, girl, you went home day one. Like, what you complaining about? If anything, you were kind of relieved from what we went through. And I'm like, realistically, no, because a lot of thought and effort and time and money went into preparing, and to be sent home day one was kind of like a slap in the face. So
Yes, yes, that's what I'm saying. You prepare for it. You're like,
yeah.
okay, I'm about to be on TV. Like you probably
Hmm.
you was getting your nails or you trying to look cute, and then
Yeah.
literally like day one, like that is so sad, honestly.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask, do you still talk to the girls, or have you talked to Chad like after the show before
Hmm.
the meeting? I guess that y'all had.
Yeah, so me and the girls, we actually were all in a group chat, and we kind of communicated it with each other through that, and it was very kind of patchy trying to get everybody to meet together. But me and some of the
Mhm.
girls did meet to watch the grand finale together, so we all met, and that was a great bonding moment for us because I had not seen any of the girls from my house since I left the house,
Mhm.
and then two of the girls from the other houses also came. I guess I could kind of share who all came because we all did repost, so it's no secret. But it was all the girls from my house, and then Chambrielle represented from her house, and Sabrinae represented from James's house.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, that's so cool. So y'all still have that that sisterhood bonding.
Yeah, yeah, and we definitely plan on meeting more. So I think we all need that, especially just supporting each other through this experience because, as I mentioned, everyone had their different experience, and I think we should know that we have each other's backs to try to get through this together versus alone because only we know what that experience felt like because we all went through it, no matter how long or short we were in the experience, we still were a part of the same process.
Yes, and I actually really like that, and I think I'm seeing that kind of more and more with like the reality TV shows. Like the women are kind of sticking together, and they're
Hmm.
not letting like anything or whatever, like the guys, or whatever, like take them
Yeah.
out of the character or different things like that. So I really like that, and
Hmm.
that's why I think it was also kind of cool. Like, of course, there was three different houses, but like so there's like three houses with like three different sisterhoods, but then y'all can
Yeah.
still kind of like come together. So I think
Mhm.
that is really cool. Uh, Speaking of like the show, do
Mhm.
you feel like the women, got like a good edit, or do you feel like the men kind of got a better edit?
As far as,
I would say perception to the audience, like to
yeah,
the viewers.
I think to be fair across the board, obviously this is entertainment. So reality TV is entertainment. So things are going to be patched together and twisted and turned. So I know, it was certain things that happened on the show that may not really have been perceived that way in reality. So
Okay.
that I will say. So I think it did kind of put a bad taste on the viewers watching it because of how things were kind of perceived on television that may not have necessarily went that way in person. So that's what I'll say about that.
Okay. So you were talking about, well, how it's perceived and stuff like that. Were
Mhm.
you in the comments defending yourself?
Was
Or did
not.
are yeah, are are like that, did it take like a bad effect on your mental health in
Yeah.
general, or were you kind of just like you were just easing through it?
So one thing is I didn't know that all the live episodes were being aired on YouTube. So I
Mhm.
didn't know that until the group chat. It was announced in our group chat by someone that they were really taking it hard, and they were like, these people are really going in. Like, I don't like this. The perception. I'm like, a lot of us were like, YouTube. Like, what? Where are you seeing stuff? And they were like, YouTube. And I went on YouTube and I was like, what the heck? A lot of podcasters had a lot to say. Apparently, a
Mhm.
lot of folks didn't like my braids, and yeah, it was like it was a lot. And I'll say this, it was more so a lot of men that had a lot of negative things to say. It really wasn't a lot of women. They were like, oh, I don't like the braids, I feel like they don't do her justice. And then like two podcasters, they ranked like the women from my house from like the finest to least finest or prettiest or whatever, and I was ranked last. So that, yeah, so it was like little things like that that did kind of rub me wrong, because personally I feel like all of the women were very gorgeous. I didn't rank myself the highest over anybody. I felt like
Mhm.
we all brought our own unique looks and character and all of that, and that's what makes us all gorgeous in our own perspective. And one, speaking on this topic, I want to shout out my girl Chambrielle, because
Period,
I
girl.
love her to death. We have very similar backgrounds, and I feel like
Mhm.
I bonded with her a lot. This is a gorgeous soul, beautiful girl inside and out, and I want to give her flowers, because I did see, comments where people weren't saying a lot of nice things about all of us, but really
Mhm.
towards her. And I just want to say that's one strong girl, gorgeous soul. And I feel like if the viewers really took the time out to get to know us, they would
Mhm.
really see individually how awesome all of us are.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, to your point, I think that because she made it to the end, so I think
Hmm.
sometimes, like, I even talk about that with my friends with, like, the shows, like, you have this favorite person, and if your favorite person don't win, like, you tear
Yeah.
down the other person, but it's really
Hmm.
like, we shouldn't be tearing us down, like, y'all are
Yeah.
all Black, beautiful Black women on the show, y'all are on a
Exactly.
own show, so I don't think that, you
Hmm.
should be out there saying, like, "Oh, this person, that person," like, that's so negative, and then the men that
Yeah.
are podcast, child, we can't even worry about them because they ain't gonna be on the show anyways. And it's just like, how do
Yeah.
you think that you would have access to me if I wasn't on this show? So I just think about that too. Like,
Exactly. Exactly.
that's like you would never even have access to me. So you're just talking
Yeah.
because you could never get on reality TV or whatever they have
Yeah.
going on. I just feel like it's so negative. And
Hmm.
really the show, like with the people I see, I always, even though I review shows, like I remember at the end of the
Yeah.
day, like these people are human. Like you could say whatever you want to say,
Yeah.
like because there is a perception, but to be like
Right.
talking about like they hair or something like that,
Yeah.
or like talking about maybe their outfit or something like that, like it's just
Yeah.
like how you said, like y'all prepared that y'all meant to be prepared for this, and then people are just kind of just like tearing y'all down on social media. So like sometimes social media is good, sometimes it could be bad.
Exactly. It's just how you use it. And I will say this, you hit the nail on the head when you said we're all real people. We have real lives outside of these shows. And I know a lot of people are like, well, you're the one that signed up for it. Like you went on there, you knew what you were signing up for. Yeah, I signed up for a show, not to be slandered behind closed doors, So, it's different. But like, and this happens with all shows, unfortunately. I know
Mhm.
people who were a part of other shows as well, and major shows like Too Hot to Handle.
Mm.
And I think that was the good thing about it, is that I did end up connecting with people from other major shows, and that kind of helped me cope through what I was going through, by having them to lean on, to be like, well, how was your experience going through your show, and after the show and all of that. And that really did help.
Oh yeah, I do. I never watched Too Hot to Handle, but I've heard of it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
heard of it with all the shows with Love Island and stuff like that. I do
Mhm.
hear about those shows. Would you recommend a woman to go on somebody's son though?
Mm. I'll say this. this was season 1, right? And I
Mhm.
said from the beginning that I knew it was going to be lumps and bumps along the road because this was season 1. They were going to learn some things that did not work. And who knows, season 2, if they end up doing a season 2, it might be better because they might have learned from our experience. So what I recommended, I would say yes if it's maybe if everything is taken into account what we went through and things that they can improve on. And I'm not saying that everything was negative or anything like that, but I feel like everyone has room for growth, right? You know,
Mhm.
so and that's why even like Love Island and Too Hot to Handle, the next season you'll see that they'll do a plot twist on certain things because you have to keep the audience engaged. So you got to switch up things. So if they do that, it might be good, and you might actually see some long lasting relationships come out of this show.
That is what I was going to ask next, though, because I was going to be like, do you really feel like they should go on there if they're really looking for love?
This is new age, you know. I
Mhm.
am a huge advocate on just taking that leap of faith, dating apps, all of that. And I know dating apps have like a bad rep, but I've seen
Yeah.
some beautiful relationships blossom. I have about 3 different friends that met their husbands, not boyfriends, husbands, on dating
Okay.
apps. On dating apps. And I'll say this because through dating apps, a lot of your communication is texting and talking, you know, a lot. I feel like that's what really builds that bond. And everyone I know that married or met their husbands on dating apps, their husbands proposed within a year. And I mean, one was within 3 months, another was within 8 months of meeting them. Yeah. So there
I
are
love
intentional
that.
people. Get
I
you a
love
dating
that.
app, girl, but be
No,
intentional.
but no, it'd be the dating apps, and then you go on there, you hear all these great stories, then you go on there and you be like, this ain't the same.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I also have some horror stories too. So that's why I said like you have to do your screening process
Mhm.
very well about who's being real and intentional. But I feel like you know that out the jump. If you have a man constantly texting you talking about what you doing, where you at, no, you text me with some actual plans. Hey, are you free Saturday? Meet me at this restaurant. I'm gonna pick you up at this time. If you don't feel comfortable with me knowing where you live, just meet me here. Oh, and I'm gonna pay for your parking because in Houston you got to pay for everything. So pay for my parking.
Okay. Like the communication is lacking. So I will
Horrible.
ask, like, were you just done with dating apps? I know you said you took a leap of faith
Mm-hmm.
to go on the show, but like, were you just done with dating apps, or you just done with dating? Is that kind of what your leap of faith went like? And was it
Yeah.
better, like, being in person versus like texting all the
Yeah. I would definitely say that is one thing that I've learned about being on dating apps and also doing the show. It's kind of like blind dating, right?
time? Mm-hmm.
Even though you see a person's pictures and this, that, and the other online, they might not necessarily fully look like that in person. And even outside of looks, hygiene. Oh my God. Whew, look, I'm a big person on hygiene. There have been people that I have met that I'm like, baby, you will never hear from me again. Because
Like,
no,
did you
ma'am, no,
you were
sir.
on a date? Like, where do you think we were going?
Literally, I'm just like, I'm a big person with hygiene. And like I said, you don't know how a person's breath smells via
Mhm.
social media, just general hygiene. You don't know. So I have learned that I am a person that I much rather meet people genuinely in person, just through natural conversation.
Someone literally said in real life, okay, it's too much. It's too much going on. Make sure you like the video though. But oh my God, thank you so much for joining and chatting with us. I really appreciate it. I don't know if anybody has any listener questions. But I do have like one more question to kind of wrap it up. We've talked about like Love Island. We talked about Own, the
Yeah.
Somebody's Son. And a lot of times you see that these shows, i.e. Love Island and Too Hot to Handle, whatever, a lot of them go from like being on the show to influencers, like being
Yeah.
in like getting brand deals, different things like that. So,
Yeah.
what do you think about with the show, knowing that this is like a new show? But
Yeah.
how did you feel? Like, were you like, oh, I'm about to be an influencer after this? Were you thinking that, or like kind of, or were you just like, oh no, I'm just going for love, and whatever happens, happens?
Yeah. So I will say most people that I know that go on these shows, something does come out of it. Like you'll see people on dating or not. Well, yeah, some people actually end up having their own dating shows after this,
Mm-hmm.
where they're actually like the star. There's brand deals. They get tons of followers and ambassador deals and stuff like that. So I knew it was a chance and a possibility for that to come, but that wasn't my sole goal going on the show. Is like, I'm gonna go for exposure. I didn't need that type of social light in my life. But kind of linking back into that, I feel like a lot of us may not have gotten that opportunity either. And I mean, from what I can see, I don't know what's really going on behind closed doors, but I know that the
Mm-hmm.
opportunities could have been better had marketing been a little bit better with our show. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that we really got the justice that we needed, like getting the show out there and pushing and all of that. It's now on HBO. So thumbs
Yay!
up. Yeah,
Okay.
that's a good thing because no one that I knew had access to OWN. So they were having to go on YouTube and watch clips and stuff like that. But it's now
Mm-hmm.
on HBO Max, so viewers can watch it on there. So that's a step, bringing more exposure to the show.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes,
I
definitely.
yeah, and I saw on Prime. I think if you type the show into Prime, it also says like coming soon or something. So I think it will be
Okay.
aired on Prime eventually as well, if it's not already.
Okay, yeah, that's another thing that I heard too. It could just be overall because I'm not in the own network universe.
Yeah,
But I interviewed somebody else on that on a different show than I've ever met, and they were saying the same thing. They were like, marketing wasn't good, but then they
yeah.
did say like a lot of shows did come out and lot, and that's kind of what
Mhm.
happened. Is like, that's what I mentioned. You like, oh, I watched Never Ever Met. Then somebody's son came out. Then this show. So I feel like it's so many shows that come out at once. It's kind of
Yeah.
like, dang, like I can't even really get into this show or
Yeah,
another show is coming, so I feel like it's kind of, back to back to back. I had
exactly.
I had some listener questions that I have to ask you because I thought it was really really unique.
Okay.
Um, I know you don't have any kids. I don't think, right? You don't have any children,
I have a
but
fur baby.
oh yes, yes. Well, would you go on this show as a mom if you had a son?
So like so I'm like my same age and I have a younger child. Would
No,
I
no, 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 no. Like
Oh,
you're
like be a mom and take my son on there and be okay,
yes,
so switching places pretty
yes.
much.
Mm-hmm.
I would say yes. However, I think I would have evaluated my relationship with my son first. Like, are we even in that space to be
Mm-hmm.
going on national TV or are we going to embarrass ourselves? So,
That would be the question first. Okay.
exactly. I rest my case.
Okay, great. Oh, great answer. We love it. And then I was gonna ask, what would you tell your son about love, like in general? How we, what advice would you give your son about love?
So I think a lot of people don't really know what it means to love. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's why relationships don't last as long as they do now. They're so replaceable. That's how people view relationships and love. Like, oh, here today,
Mm-hmm.
gone tomorrow. I would really stress to my son that if you're getting involved with a young lady, to be very intentional. One, I feel like I would definitely use the word intentional, be intentional, respectful, and also be truthful about what you're telling the women that you're dating. If you're dating multiple women, say that.
Mm-hmm.
Say, hey, currently I'm in the space where I kind of want to see what I like, what I don't like, and then you're now allowing that woman to make her own decision if she wants to continue you pursuing her. Because she might be in a space where she's like, no, I'm locked in, zoned in on one person. That's all I want to deal with. So allow that woman that decision for herself. And just expressing what love is. Love is truth. Love is kind. Love is all the good things. I'm gonna say that. I love listening to that gospel song when it was like love, a word that most people don't know. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's by Kirk Franklin. I don't know if we got any churchy folks on
Okay.
here,
I'm trying to
but
remember. I'm trying to think. By
yes,
Kirk.
and it's like what it really means to love. And it's talking about patience,
Love
kind.
Kirk Franklin.
Yes, okay. That song, when I think of love, y'all, like I'm
Okay.
trying not to take us to church, but that song is what I think about. Like when I would really tell my son to really dive into the Bible and look at what love meant from
Mm-hmm.
God's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
The grace that he shows us, the
Okay.
love that he shows us. being caring, guiding us, leading us as a man. That is what you're supposed to be doing. And I feel like if you lead with having God in the forefront,
Mm-hmm.
everything else will follow. So it's not about what I'm telling my son what love is. I would
Mm-hmm.
say, what is God telling you that love is? Dive into that Bible.
Okay, Minister Miranda, you better preach, girl. The people are loving it. They said, "Preach this, taking me to church." Okay, facts. I love that. I was thinking like when you were talking about love is kind, I was like, "Oh, love is patient." Love, like I was thinking about
Yeah.
that when you were saying that. But I think
Yeah.
that's really, really good what you said about what love is. Like, it's grace, is this, and when you were saying that people think relationships are replaceable, I was also thinking like people do think relationships like they are kind of transactional, but they shouldn't
Yes.
be transactional. But
Yeah.
in the day and age that we're in, like how we're talking about now, people are looking for love on dating shows.
Yeah.
There's dating that there's so many things that I feel like people are like, oh, there's something better out there. Instead of like,
Yes.
yeah, instead of like working with what you got, it's just like,
Yes.
okay,
Right.
it's a bad example, but like he want to go 50-50. Let me go find someone that's gonna want to go 100-0.
Exactly, exactly. And I think that's the issue is that, like you said, people feel like, okay, what you won't do, somebody else will do. And yeah,
Hmm.
that is true. I'll never tell somebody to stay in a situation that they're not comfortable in. If you feel like you can do better, cool, but at least give it a chance.
Hmm.
Because that's one thing that I've learned is that I'm at the point now, it's like I don't want to start over, but I'm also not going to settle. But I much rather deal with this little quirky thing that somebody does that I might not necessarily like versus somebody cheating on me, staying out all night long in the clubs, disrespecting me, putting their hands on me, all that crazy stuff.
Hmm.
I could deal without that. But let's say that you snore in your sleep. I'm not about to cut you off because of that. Now, the old Miranda would have. Like,
I might be with the old Miranda child because I can't sleep with the snoring. But
yes, look, that's what you get a house for. You have your guest bedroom. Tell that man go sleep in that other bedroom, and you let that man love you the right way.
yes, Latrice said love should not hurt, and I'm glad you said that. Like love should not hurt, crazy word. But
Yeah,
that is true. When you get older, you kind of be like, okay, I don't want to start over. Okay, I want to do this and then that. I'm still the snoring is really hard, but I want my own room. But
I hate the snoring. Yeah, my ex, I had to put him in a guest bedroom. Baby, I ain't listening to that. You kicking me
I,
in my sleep. Got crooks in my back when I wake up. Nah.
I'm like, let me go to sleep first because that is so crazy. Like, yeah, but I feel like, yeah, people don't really know what they have until it's gone. And so with
Yes.
relationships, they're supposed to be so sacred, but it's so much
Mhm.
stuff like, trying to call people out on social media, trying to do different things like
Yeah.
that, trying to have. So I feel like there's so much going on within this dating world in this
Yes.
dating era. So,
Too much access.
yeah,
With social
yes.
media being out here, the access back in the day, you didn't have that access to someone who lives all the way in Tokyo. You wouldn't know that they're in Tokyo. It's I blame it on social media all day long.
You blame it on social media. Well, how was the dating in Houston though? Is it good?
Dating in Houston is rocky, and I feel like that's what brought me to go on the show because I tried dating in Houston, dating apps, all of that. And I kind of make this joke and I say that Houston is kind of like the new Atlanta.
Mm.
It's a lot of DL stuff going on. So
Like Leah said, it's trash.
yes,
Okay.
absolute trash can juice. I agree, Mia. Okay. Uh, it's trash, and I think it's the intentional part that we were talking about. How people aren't intentional, and they feel like if you do one thing, I'm cutting this person off and going on to the next. So you
Mm.
see a lot of ghosting going on, and just poor communication. So I would say it's not the best. And I've definitely taken a break. Like since the show, since the dating apps, all of that.
Mhm.
I've definitely taken a break from dating just because I'm like, I need to focus on the bag. Like
Period. I was,
everything else will come later.
I was like, have you been like Megan Hot Girl Summer? Okay, she's
Literally. But no, I have not. My hot girl summer ended last summer. This is something that the viewers might not know, so I'll also share this. Um, One perception I did not like as well was on the show how mom tried to make it seem like I was a drunken monkey.
oh.
Didn't like that. She made comments about, oh, I could tell Miranda's a drinker. And,
Mm.
Miranda, it was a deleted scene where she was like, I'm kind of nervous about meeting Miranda. She kind of seems like a wild lady. I've never been a wild lady, did not display myself as a wild lady on the show. I never have been a drinker. Socially, yes, but this is something I'm sharing. I don't even socially drink anymore. So
Mm.
October of last year, after Prairie View's homecoming, PV, that's where I graduated from.
Period.
um,
Educated.
yes, I made a decision for myself that I no longer wanted to partake in certain like activities, so like the
Mhm.
clubbing, all of that, because it's very easy to get consumed in that nightlife living in Houston. I know a lot of people here. It's the summertime, and I was like, that's not what I want. I'm not gonna meet my husband in the clubs either. So why am
Mm.
I going? You know?
Mhm.
And I was just like, I don't want to drink. If I do have a drink now, it's very rarely, and it's a glass of red wine, and it'd be a glass of cab or a Pinot Noir. And that's
Okay.
even rare. Yeah, that's even because it's like to the point I don't even like the taste. So I did not like that perception because I was like, I never liked to drink, and then I don't even drink anymore at all. So I just kind of
Mhm.
wanted to air that out that people can perceive you in one light and not even really know the true you. So I feel like it's always a good thing to speak your truth.
Yes, that is what you're here for, to speak your truth.
Hmm.
Did the show, it like production, or what what's it called, when it got recorded, when y'all had to go, it was last year, so you
Hmm.
stopped kind of drinking after
Yeah, it was after the show, and much after, months down the line
oh,
after the
okay,
show,
okay.
that, like I said, after Prairie View's homecoming, I was just like, I had a heart to heart with God, like literally
Mhm.
broke down, hands and knees, crying. And it was like a really raw moment where God really came to me and revealed so much. And I was like, I have to get rid of things in my life that are not serving me. What is liquor really doing? Besides masking the pain of certain things that I'm trying to get over, and I'm not saying I was drinking because I was depressed or anything, but when you're drinking, it's everything's happy go lucky. You good, you happy. And it's like, I don't need that. I'm a bubbly person without it.
Mhm.
I'm me without it. So why am I doing it? And that's what really brought me to like not want to do it anymore.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Todrick said she wild for saying that. Don't even know you. Period. They said exactly. Exactly. But I was going to say that because when you started talking about how you said you stopped drinking and being in Houston, I was like, when I on social media, or like even when I went to Houston, like we talked about, like there's Sunday fun days, people are out, people are party people. So I feel like you're such like around that environment so much that it's kind of like it's hard. And then when you think
Yeah.
about relationships and stuff like that, you were talking about the Atlanta part
Mhm.
with the DL, but I also think it's about the party too, because it's like,
Yeah.
when do you even have time, for relationships or to meet people? Everybody going out Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like there's always a party,
Literally,
always going out.
it's
You're spending so much.
Monday through Sunday.
Yeah. So I was just
Monday.
like, even with that, I feel like it's kind of hard to even, think about relationships and doing things like that, or trying to find somebody, because it's so much going on. And
Yeah.
it's like a city that never sleeps, honestly.
That's
So
yeah, that's literally what I was going to say. Houston is really the city that never sleeps because Monday through Sunday you can always find something to do here. And I've heard that from a lot of men that I have gotten to know. They're like, I would never consider Houston my forever home. And this is normally for men who are not from here that just recently moved here. And they're like, this is not a place where you would settle down, have a family. And I'm like, that's lies. Houston is what you make of it. I've been here 12 years now.
okay.
Yeah, so I've been here 12 years and I don't live inner Houston. I'm way out in the boonies. You got to pack snacks to come visit me. Like literally. Like I hear roosters in the morning. Yeah. Like,
What? The Roosters? Okay, country.
yes, yeah. I'm in the boonies and I chose that because I like the peace. I like the quiet. I don't like all the traffic, the crime, all of that. I
Mm-hmm.
like my peace and quiet. If I choose to pop out, then I'll drive in the city, do what I need to do, and go back to my nice, loving, safe neighborhood. So, but Houston is what you make of it. And it's so big. It's so many like smaller surrounding little towns and stuff around
Mm-hmm.
Houston that you can build that family oriented lifestyle. And even live in inner Houston, you can still do that. Nobody's forcing you to go out to the clubs. Nobody's forcing you Monday through Sunday to go out and grab a drink. You're choosing to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why when I hear men tell me that, I'm like, red flag, run. Like you want to be out here in these streets. That's why you can't settle down because you don't know how to say no. Red
Mm.
flag, run.
Okay. Red flag run. She said, but she said truth, facts on
Facts
facts.
on facts. Okay.
Like, that's a red flag, but yes, it is kind of hard because I see that kind of in Atlanta. Atlanta a little bit more settled downish, but I feel like Houston is a settled downish city. So I don't know, but
To
you
me,
know,
it is. Yeah, I see. Like I said, successful marriages here. People have children. But like I said, it's all about saying no and staying out of that scene. If you're
mhm,
choosing trouble, trouble's gonna follow.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
definitely true. Like you want to be outside, well, you're gonna be
let the
outside.
shit happen. Let them happen.
Yes, Miranda, you say I ain't trying to be outside no more. You trying to be inside?
Inside, some of the girls from the cast, they tried to get me to pop out, and I was like, I hope they don't think I'm being funny by declining. But a lot of the girls are in their 20s still. I'm
Mhm.
31. I've been there, done that, and I know, like my mom, because she is in the house, she watching. She probably like thinking like, "Girl, you still young. You sitting up here trying to make it seem like they babies." But I've been there, done that. I came out here for college, so it's different for me.
Oh,
I've had the
mhm.
time to party with celebrities, things of that nature. Been there, done that. So that stuff does not excite me anymore. So it's phased out. That's all. But if that's what you want to do you, boo?
Yeah, 'cause they said you young. I said, now, Miranda, we still young though,
Yes,
but
I'm young, but I'm also old. I'm really 54 at heart, okay?
not the before, not the old so.
I am. I be listening to Johnny Taylor, last $2 and all. Don't get me started.
I am cracking up. That is so funny. But it is a different perception
Yeah,
when you went to school there and then you're
yeah,
there and after versus people moving in and they're hyped, they want to see everything and stuff like that.
yeah.
So I definitely get what you're saying. Todrick said that's true, but that is so funny. But yeah, so I want to, give you your last moment to say, like, is there anything that we missed that you want to tell people about the show or that just about you that you feel like they didn't get to see or that they didn't get to
Yeah.
know? Anything else that you want to let people know?
I don't think I really have anything else. I think you did a great job with addressing the things that I did kind of want to share. So again, I thank you so much for even reaching out to me and having me on the show. This has been an awesome experience for me. And I just want to thank you for one, because this is my first podcast that I've done.
Oh,
And
yeah.
yes, and I really did my research before, even agreeing to this, because you never know. You don't know if you're going to get on these, podcasts or anything like that and do interviews, and then you're bombarded with like questions that you like, hold on, wait, like
Mhm.
put me on the spot. So I just want to thank you for being respectful and allowing me that platform to speak my truth. And I thank you so much. And I definitely hope that there's more to come with me and you in the future.
Yes, thank you. Well, I also thank you too for letting me interview you because it is kind of nerve wracking as well too. I'm just messaging certain people when I watch it. So thank you for responding back to my DM. You're my second interview, but you're like my first for somebody's son. So I really appreciate you, and I appreciate you for trusting me. And I definitely do, respect people's boundaries and things like that. So I want you all to know this is a safe space to be able to come and share, your experience and everything like that. And I don't want to do all the controversy. I'm just like, okay, what's the tea on the show? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's
Yeah.
fine. But really to just kind of have that experience and have that
Mhm.
outlet. And I feel
Yeah.
like, you should do it, with black people, black girls who are going to help you and not,
Black girl magic, right?
okay, not these other people who are just going to literally like bombard you or say different things. It's like,
Yeah.
no, like you have a space to be able to speak honestly and
Yeah.
truthfully. And it's so sad you all didn't get a reunion. Y'all should got a reunion.
And I'm told that we're not going to have one. I know a lot of people are wanting to know, are we going to have one? I'm told no, but who knows? You never know.
Yeah.
I think if more people, y'all keep speaking up, keep requesting that reunion, they might
Oh,
allow us to have that reunion and hash out everything y'all want to know.
yes, because it is going to HBO, and you said it might go to Amazon. So,
Mhm.
since there's not a reunion yet,
Yes.
you all can watch this episode, okay?
Yes. Exactly.
But yes, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, your effort, and thank you so much for everybody who's tuned in. Make sure you like the live. And I also review Divorce Sisters, so you can watch that as well. I go live with that, and I do this series called Girl Did You Watch? So if y'all have any other suggestions on other TV shows that I should watch or reach out to, let me know as well. But I very much appreciate y'all time, and I appreciate you as well, Miranda, because this would have been no interview without you. And I hope y'all have a great rest of y'all night. And I will talk to y'all soon. Make sure you subscribe.